Good afternoon. How's everybody today? I'd like to start by first giving a big round of applause to Christina for bringing us all together. I mean really big, because she's just an amazing person. So thank you, Christina. I want to thank all of you for coming, and I want to thank her for having me here. Om Sahana Vavatu Sahano Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karvavahe Tejasvinavaditamastu Mahavidvishavahehi Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So that was just a simple Sanskrit prayer, just to kind of bring our energies together, and it's traditionally used in India in a learning type of environment. And I'm not going to speak for too long, because we're kind of in a day and age where people don't want to just be talked to. They want to interact. They want to. We can't just. I don't know about you, but for a bunch of years now, I haven't been able to go to classes and workshops and seminars and just sit and listen to people all day long. Because we're just moving into a different age, and I really want to talk about some of the new paradigms of the new age that we're living in or moving into. You know, some of us are already there, some of us are moving into it, and a lot of us were doing this dance back and forth between dimensions, between the third dimension and the fourth and fifth dimension. And so, one of the things I want to start off with is something that's been coming to me a lot about the law of attraction and why it doesn't work for most people. And I can say many things about this, but the one thing that's really key about this day and age and this time period that we're living in, we live in a very interesting time. I think all of us can agree upon that. But one thing that's really key is that the real key thing about this day and age is it's time to really transcend our ego. Our ego is that small separate self. It's the self that most of us think that we are. Rumi has a poem, and in that poem he says, dissolve yourself, become nothing. In nothing I've seen everything. You know? Because it's the image, it's the self-image of who we think we are, our imagination, our mind, right? Our mental makeup. It's an imagination, it's an imaginary self. And so the more we identify with this imaginary self, the more we live in this place of fear and separation and limitation. But when you drop from being so identified to content and form and the external world and who you think you are, and allow who you are to come to the forefront, because who you are is that timeless, eternal being. Timeless, eternal. Eternal is that which transcends time. You know? It's like before Abraham was, I am. The I am is always right here, right now. You see? And that I am presence, the I amness of who you are, the beingness. When we drop below the level of our thinking nature, because you know, one of the things that's kind of, we become more and more conditioned to be this a race of talking heads, where the head is just constantly going, this constant stream of compulsive, addictive thinking. And the one thing that we're so addicted to more than anything else is our thoughts, our attachment to our thoughts, and our identification with those thoughts. But when we stop and come back and to become the witness, to become the observer of that which is going on in our heads, we see that we're not that which is going on in our heads. We're something else. We are that which is observing what's going on in our heads. And so that compulsion, that vicious cycle starts to lose its power over us. And instead of giving our power away to this imaginary fictitious self, we start drawing into our real beingness, our isness, the I amness, whatever you want to call it. These are just words, and words are limited. The experience is what's real. Words are just pointers. And so most of the people who deal with the law of attraction, the reason why it doesn't work for them, they're living from a place of their thinking and their emotions, right? And so they're already, and most of them, what's happening for a lot of people is they're going from a place of not being happy with what is in their life. And they want to create something that when I get to point B, when I have this, this, and this, and I've manifested this, this, and this, then I'll be happy. That's an illusion, that's a lie. So your whole foundation of what you're moving towards is a lie from the very beginning. So if you're not happy now, you'll never be happy later. And see, happiness and joy is who you really are. It's your I amness, it's your beingness. And so to think that if you're going to create this, this, and that, it's going to satisfy you, when this, and that is no longer there, then what's going to happen? You're already conditioned to put your happiness somewhere in some future time, but that doesn't exist, because the only thing that's right here is right now. That's all that's real, you know? Rumi had another saying that I read this morning, something like, there is no future, there is no past, because the beloved can only shine its light in the here and now. The here and now, the present moment, the isness of who we are, right here is where we have to embrace. If we don't start from opening up and embracing where we are right now, however your life is right here and right now, then you've already given your power away to change it in the future. But once you align with what is, once you embrace what is, no matter how crazy it could be, how painful it can be, no matter how much it could be against what you think you need to have in your life, when you align with it, when you embrace it, you dissolve the sense of separation, and life begins to move in and through and as you. And we live in a vibrational universe, and we're constantly drawing to us what we're vibrationally attuned to. And we're constantly repelling from us what we're not vibrationally attuned to. Some people, you walk in, you try to be friends with them, no matter how hard you try, they're just not going to be your friends, because they're just not, you know, your vibration might be at a level where it kind of burns them, and they don't understand it, but they just kind of move out of your way, you know what I mean? Certain people are just going to be automatically drawn to you. Same thing with life, and same thing with the circumstances of life. We're constantly transmitting and receiving, drawing and repelling. But the thing is this, who you are, the beingness, the I amness, the divine self, whatever word you want to call it, I don't care. Who you are, if you awaken to that, if you connect your thinking mind to this, the I amness, then that I amness starts to transmit through the thinking mind, and it does the work. It's the Father within that does the work. It's the beingness, it's the presence, the power that's beyond the limited thinking, because this thinking mind is very limited in its understanding of life and what's around the corner, you see? And if you have a fixed idea of something you want to create in your life, if it's not an inspired idea, you're setting yourself up. You're just setting yourself up for more misery and suffering, because you're probably not going to get it anyway, and if you do get it, it's not really going to satisfy the real thing, because what you're really looking for is you. That which you're really seeking is you. What you're looking for, you're looking with. In the Vedas, they say that the eyes cannot see it, but it's that which gives the eyes the power to see. What we're really looking for is our true self, our inner self. And it's right here. It's not in some future place. It's not when you get A, B, and C. It's right here, right now. But if you're trying to get A, B, and C, you miss it. You miss it. You miss it to point. So does that make sense? I want to answer questions on this. I'm sorry? Somebody? Oh, I've never talked in such a noisy place, but it's good. It's a new experience, and so I learned to focus. So the other thing is this. Like I said, the highest vibration that you have isn't something you're going to create from your own thought. Thought is definitely vibration, and thought does definitely manifest as things. But your inner self, that vibration, when we can live a life of surrender, because see, when we're living from our heads, we're so caught up in control. We're resisting life. We're caught up in fear, separation. See, because that's what the ego loves for things to be a certain way. It has to be a certain way in order for the ego to feel safe. But we're living in a day and time when everything that we thought that we needed, that gave us a sense of safety, stability, and security, is starting to move, it's starting to change. The life is starting to change at a much more faster pace than it ever has in history. And so especially since 2008 till now, that change has only become more and more rapid. And then people have this sense of stability and security. They're starting to lose that. And they're like, oh, it's you know, and they're trying to seek it, and they're trying to recreate it again in the external world. But the external world can't give it to you. See, but when you find it within yourself, when you find that vibration, that beingness, you know, then it takes over. It does the work for you. Get the head out of the way, and it will draw onto you. You know, it's the river of life that Jesus talked about in the New Testament, that he who comes upon this river shall never hunger and shall never thirst. And If the New Testament repels you, then we can talk Buddhism, we can talk yoga, we can talk, you know, because everybody's saying the same thing. It's just culture, it's just language in different cultures. There's only